Hi y'all, my name's Elena Fox. Today we're going to be talking about the meaning of life and how that is viewed through the lens of the world of body modification. It's my personal belief that the meaning of life is found intrinsically. It doesn't come from any external source. It comes from you inside and what gets you up in the morning and what keeps you going every day. And for me, that is simply the pursuit of happiness. I think everybody deserves to be happy and to look for happiness for themselves. And for me, that's the only thing I need to get me up and going in the morning. As long as there has been a human experience, there has been the pursuit of happiness. It's part of us. It's part of who we are. We all want to be happy. And it's our right to be, and it's our right to look for it. I wanted to connect my view to Taylor's reading because he also states that the meaning of life is within us. It's intrinsic. So I heavily agree with his viewpoint. He also states that every such accomplishment fades, providing only an occasion for renewed labors of the same kind. So I'll lose happiness there, I'll gain happiness there, I'll think something will make me happy and I'll reach that goal just to turn around and find something else that'll make me happy. And that's how I approach life. I find that this more broad sense of meaning helps me to kind of stay focused and keep going because it's harder to find more specific things. I feel like a general meaning is something that's going to be able to stay with me throughout the rest of my life. There's always going to be more happiness to find for myself, and there's always going to be something new to pursue to find that happiness. So for those of you that don't know, body modification includes things like tattoos, piercings, dermal implants, split tongues, hole punches, stuff like that. You could even go as far as scarification. Body modification is heavily entwined with my pursuit of happiness. It brings out a sense of self-love and a sense of confidence that I personally didn't have in my experience before. You would catch me in sweaters in 95-degree weather, and now you'll catch me in tank tops in 40-degree weather. It allows me to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and like who I am that much more. Adorning yourself with art is one of the simplest ways I can think one can make themselves happy. So I want to go over some of the history of body modifications because I think it sheds some light on why some of the prejudices you see today towards the body modification community are there. So body modification is as old as 3000 BC. We have found remains of humans with 40+ tattoos from that time era, all adorning what we to believe, accomplishments, periods of their life, stuff like that. So it's always been a way to communicate and express yourself. That's really all body modification is. It's taking what's in here and putting it out here so that you can communicate what's going on inside to those around you. Then in the late 1800s, US sailors actually went to learn the Polynesian techniques of tattooing, and they're the ones that brought it back to America, and that's how we got them. That's when you first started seeing the first tattoos in the US. It was always the sailors. And then this opened the door for right between the 1900s and 1930s. There was this huge rise in the prisoners doing tattoos on themselves. They would also do it to communicate themselves, but it was more so their affiliations with certain gangs and groups outside of prison. And it was also to communicate their beliefs. Were they religious? Were they anti-Semitist? Stuff like that. So they knew kind of how to pair up with each other. And because those are the roots that we have for tattooing and piercing in the US, I think a lot of the prejudice held today is that when you see someone that's heavily modified, a lot of people's first instinct is to think you're a criminal, you're a drug addict, you're gonna steal something from me, I gotta hide my kids. But it's really nice to see that within the past 10, 15 years or so, there's been a lot more acceptance in the body modification community. And I think a lot of that does have to do with this younger generation coming up, growing up on the internet and learning more things, learning more ideas, being more cultured than in the past. Because when you see the prejudices, it is typically in the older generation. People are always going to judge what makes others happy. It's just something people love to do. People love to be mad. So when I get told, you know, you're gonna get less job opportunities, you look like a criminal, you look like you do drugs, da 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 da, I don't have to put those within my meaning because those are all extrinsic values. I don't need to value a job opportunity more than I value adorning myself with art. I don't need to value a job that probably wouldn't even make me happy in the first place, because I don't want to work anywhere that's going to tell me I need to look a certain way. And maybe that's not part of other people's goals, but it is a part of mine. And in my pursuit of happiness, I think it keeps me on track, and it keeps me out of those situations where people are going to have a say in how I present myself, because my self-expression is deeply intertwined with my state of happiness. For me, body modification has always been an act of self-love. It makes me more aware of the state of my body. And that is something that I've always tried to avoid. So being able to adorn yourself with things that make you feel more like you, it makes it easier to show yourself. As someone with social anxiety, it's sometimes hard to leave my apartment. I'm sure some of you can relate. And I find that body modifications make me want to leave my apartment. They make me want to show myself off. They make me feel like me. They make me feel more confident in my ability to express myself, especially as someone who is shy.
I find in my experience that people are more happy when they are allowed to express themselves and do what they want to with their own body and their lives and things like that. And if you constrict that and don't allow those people to do the things that they want with themselves and their body and, you know, their freedom, then people speak out against it and they find better alternative ways for living. I don't know. I think you should spend your life doing things that you love and not prohibiting people from doing that same thing.